Never complain about what you permit. Let's think about that with you. We would like to think about that. If you really meditate on that subject, you will see that I and you have a lot to work on. We have a lot to work on, I tell you that. We have a lot to work on. So never complain about what you permit. Yeah. You know what? Let me tell you the truth right now. The truth is, most of the things that we complain about in our lives, I'm sorry, we actually permitted them. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Sad, maybe not only sad, painful sometimes, and even more painful to admit, I bet you. It's even more painful to admit. You know why I know? I am just like you. I'm just like you. Just an ordinary guy like you. Just an ordinary person like you. We are all human. And since we are all human, we make mistakes. We make mistakes. And sometimes it's difficult for us to admit our mistakes, right? It's difficult for us to admit our mistakes. It's even more painful when you realize that those things that you are complaining about, maybe other people are not really as guilty about your pain and about your difficulties as you are. But let me tell you the way it is easier for us. It is easier for us to look at the weather and say, yeah, it's the weather to blame, that's for sure. Or it might be easier for us to look at the country where we're living and say, yeah, if I was not born in this country, if it had not been because of this cross country. Some people say Nigeria is a zoo, and it's because Nigeria is a zoo. It is this zoo that is to blame for all my troubles. But in that zoo, there are some people in that same city, in that same state, in that same region, in that same community that are making it big, that are even making it than other countries that are not zoo. There are some people in Nigeria that are more successful than people in America. And there are a lot of them, not just the corrupt politicians, no, even ordinary people. And there are some people that if they had not been born in Nigeria, they would have not been anything in life. They would have not amount to anything in life. But you know what is easier for us, especially when we are talking about failure and where we are not making it and where we are not successful, we tend to think that someone else is to blame. And then when we don't find anybody to blame, when we cannot blame our country, when we cannot blame our government, when we cannot blame the politicians, when we cannot blame the church and the pastor anymore, you know what we come to blame? We come to blame Satan. Of course, Satan. Of course, Satan. Of course, Satan is the bad guy all the time. Satan is always the bad guy. He is to blame for everything. No doubt. He is to blame for everything. But what I'm about to talk about today, I think you'll take it serious, and I hope it will bless you that, let's just face the fact. Let's stop complaining about what we permit. Let's stop complaining about what we permit. Never complain about what you permit. Never complain about what you permit. Or stop complaining about what you permit. Most of the things that are going on in our lives, there is only one there is only one constant in every misfortune that we have in our lives, in every unfortunate things and everything that is going wrong in our lives, in everything that we ever permit in our lives, only one thing is constant. And you know what that constant thing is? Will you guess? There is only one thing that is constant in all your circumstances, in all your situations, and that one constant thing is, you guess, it's you. It's you. You are the only one constant thing in everything that is wrong in your life. For example, when things are wrong in your family, maybe you thought it was your dad because it was the wrong family, or it was your family is under a curse, or your mom or your stepmother or your stepbrother or whatever, the witches and wizards in your family and in your home. Then you leave home, you became matured, you grew up, and you left home and left to another city. And when you are in another city, no more mom there, no more dad there, and no more stepmother and grandmother, and the witches and wizards are no more there. But we still find a way to find what to blame, isn't it? We say, okay, they are chasing me from home. It is the wizard and wizard that are from home who are reaching me here in town, or even in another country. Or we say, oh, but you remember that when you were in the village, you are there, and all other people are no more there. Now you are in town. You are the only one from that village who is now in this city, and nobody living with you anymore here in the city. You are the only one constant that is there. Then you went to college and you run into trouble again, and in your college, only you from your family, only you from your household that is there. You are the only constant that is there. You are the very same person who was in the village, in town, in the city, maybe in the college. Maybe when you get to work, you are the only one from your environment that has gone to work in that place. You are still the only single constant. And then when you marry, you are the only one from your environment where you are coming from who is constant, who is in that family, in that your marriage. You are the only same person. So the only constant all the time in your life, the only thing that is constant is you. What does that tell us? That tells us that we must take a critical look at somebody. Huh? You must take a critical look at someone. You must take a critical look at yourself. I'm sorry. You must take a critical look at yourself. You must say, okay, let me stop now. Let me begin to look at myself. Maybe this odor is coming from somebody's mouth that I know. Somebody gave me an illustration when I was in my village in primary school, maybe secondary school. And they said that there's this guy that went to the restroom, right? In Africa, you don't always have toilet papers, you say. I'm sorry for maybe it's a bit rough kind of example, but it will carry the weight. You will get the message very fast. So this guy came back from the restroom and he used the leaves to clean himself. And when you use leaves to do the cleaning, leaves, they are slippery. Leaves are slippery. They are not quite as practical. They don't do an efficient job. So this person that has used the leaf to clean himself, by accident, had some of the, some of the byproduct in his hand, you see. And when the nose was itching him like mine, like mine now, so he just used his hand to rub his nose. You know the rest of the story. You guess what? You guessed the story. Because everywhere he went thereafter, he was suspecting everybody else. He was telling everybody else that something is smelling in this your house. Then he went to another house. Something is smelling in this your house. Then they went to another house. Wow, why is something smelling in this your house? He went to school. Something is smelling in this school. Then he went to work. Something is smelling in his work. He went to transport. Something is smelling in this transport. And you know what? I tell you, there's only one constant. There's only one constant in all those places. And the only constant is, you guess who? You guess it. You guess it. Don't you think that story could remind you of somebody? I think that story should remind you of someone you know very well. We have all been there. We have all been there. We have all been there, playing the blame game. We are our number one problem. Forget about the president. Forget about the politics. Forget about the country. Forget about the economy. Forget about politics. Forget about corruption. Forget about all those things. Yes, those things affect you. Yes, those things could have one, way or the other that they influence you. But at the end of the day, the buck stops in your house. the blame, it should stop on you. We are really the ones that are to blame for whatever goes on in our lives. We should take responsibility. We should take responsibility for whatever happens. Yeah, there are conditions that influence us, there are circumstances that influence us, but at the end of the day, we are to blame for whatever we permit in our lives. Now, I've seen, it's all the time. As a pastor, you see that all the time, and you will understand what this example. I've seen wives, especially women, that come to me as a pastor, and this is not bad. I'm not saying don't come to me anymore. I'm not saying don't talk to me, but I'm just trying to make this example for you to know that we should share responsibility for whatever is going on in our lives. So, and I'm very, pathetic about ladies and about wives and about the challenges they face in homes. But sometimes, some wives come to me and complain about what is going on with their family. And they said, this my husband is like this my husband is like this, and it's like this. And but then sometimes you think, wow, wait a minute. Where did you get him from? Are you not the one who agreed to marry him? So sometimes you need to start by saying, I made a mistake. And then you need to say, well, I missed it. And then before you begin to now talk about all the bad things the guy is doing. And also, the same thing happened to men. Some men say, this my wife is just so stubborn. She's nagging. She's this, she's that. Well, where were you when you married her? Where were you when she became your wife? What was wrong? Am I the one who gave her to you? You are talking to me as if I'm to blame for her. And sometimes we talk as if God is to blame for him or for your wife or for your husband. So sometimes we need to know that if you marry that guy, if you are a lady and you marry that guy, remember the topic of this speech. Remember the topic of this message. The topic is stop complaining or never complain about what you permit. If you marry that guy, that to me is a sign that somebody permitted him in his life, in our life. If you married him, if you took him to the altar, or if he took you to the altar and you allowed him to take you to the altar, you know what? That sounds to me as if you permitted him in your life. And if you permit him in your life, let's talk now. Let the blame start from you. Let's start taking responsibility. Let's start taking responsibility on ourselves. And the same thing for the guys. If you marry that lady, if you took that lady to the altar, you know the way that sounds to me? That sounds as if it might have been you who permitted her in your life, huh? So, and what is the topic of today? Never complain about what you permit. Never complain about what you permit. Never complain about what you permit. You permitted it? Well, take responsibility. At least admit it. You might need help. You might need to complain or to, ask for help and ask people to help you. And you might need to, ask for people's help and consultation and prayers and all that. But at the end of the day, the basics and the fundamental issue is for you to say, I was wrong. I made the wrong choice. I missed it. I made a mistake. And if you don't admit that you made a mistake, you cannot retrace your steps. You will never be able to retrace your steps. You will never be able to say, okay, I'm walking out, or I'm not going to do this anymore, or I'm not going to permit this any longer. So you should first of all admit that you were wrong. And excuses will not help you. And so let me tell you something. Let me tell you a few things about making excuses. Like I said, never complain about what you permit. Stop complaining about what you permit. There are a lot of things that we permit in our lives that are so sad, and we don't want to admit it anymore. We live in denial. We don't want to admit that actually I permitted this thing. So we begin to find Excuses is not excuse might not even be the worst thing we do. Sometimes we do something that will be worse than that. We blame, we switch blames. We actually condemn other people for what we are to blame, for what we permitted. And but the most common thing we do for what we permit is that we just give excuses. We give explanations. We give excuses. The reason it is because of this, is because of that, because Holy Ghost said, it's because angels appeared, it's because I had a dream, it's because God said, it's because Satan was to blame, it's because somebody, but no. The buck rests in your doorstep. So let me tell you a few things about excuses. Number one, excuses are the trademark of failure. Excuses are the trademark of failure. You find someone making excuses all the time, it will not go far. It will not go far. So, you know the answer there. Shut up your mouth. Take responsibility and go work on it. Try to fix it. Do something about it. Excuses, when you give excuses, most of the time you abdicate your authority to take responsibility. Excuses pushes you away from responsibility, and you abdicate your power, your authority to deal with the situation, and you will not be able to deal with the situation. And when you don't deal with the situation will not fix itself, and that leads to pain, and that leads to failure, and that leads to tears, and that leads to depression, and all whatnot, sickness, all of that. So excuses, they are not good for us. Excuse is the trademark of failure. Excuses are the trademark of failure. So let's get rid of them. Let me tell you another thing about excuses. You remember the story of Genesis? Genesis chapter 3, our grandfather, our grandparents, grandparents, Adam and Eve, they know something about the excuses, isn't it? Don't you think so? Oh yeah, I think they know something about the excuses. They are familiar with the excuses. Yeah. They know something about the excuses. They are just like me, isn't it? And like you. Or is it better to say we are just like them? We are just like them. We are just like them. Yeah. We know whose footstep we follow. We know who we resemble, isn't it? We are just like our progenitors. We are just like them. We are just like them. So yeah. What happened? What did the head of the family do? Do you remember what he did? When God caught up with him and said, "What did you just do? What happened? Why are you naked?" Yeah. You know the answer to that question, isn't it? The wife that you gave me. 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 Yeah. I've got an excuse. I have a reason for my failure. The wife that you gave me. The country that you gave me. The city that you gave me. The zoo that you gave me. Yeah. That zoo is the zoo that is bad. That's a bad zoo. Give me a better zoo. The wife that you gave me, the president that you gave me, the vice president that you gave me, the politicians that you gave me, or the what? I don't know. The society that you gave me, the husband that you gave me, the wife that you gave me, the kids that you gave me, the school that you gave me, the village that you gave me, the family that you gave me, the relatives that you gave me. All right? Yeah. So you know where that is coming from now, isn't it? You know where that is coming from. That's coming from our Adam, from our Eve, from our progenitors. Yeah. They are coming from where we're coming from. So complaints and excuses are part and parcel of human life. And it has been there from the beginning. God has been trying to fight this thing. And it has not been easy on God, I tell you. Because despite, how many years was that? When did that happen to Adam and Eve? Maybe 6,000 years ago or more? And since then, you think anything has changed? don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think too many changes have taken place. We still run about giving excuses. Never complain about what you permit. Never complain about what you promise. Some people even complain about the life that God gave them. What is to blame is the life that you gave me. Why did you give me this terrible life? What kind of life is this? What kind of life is this? It is the life that you gave me is to blame. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to end my life. You gave me a poor life. You gave me a bad life. That is what is to blame. Well, you know what I will tell you about your life? The type of life you are living is the kind of life that you created. God gave everybody the same kind of life. It's what you invested in your life that you are reaping today, my friend. It is what you invested in your life that you are reaping today. So, I'm laughing a lot today. I guess I'm very happy. Tomorrow is my birthday, by the way. So, because tomorrow is my birthday, I think it's catching up on me. I'm full of energy. I'm full of optimism. I'm full of excitement today. So, no, that's not the reason. Maybe it is. I don't know. Something is just coming on me. So, no complaints. but I see some people enjoying my laughter anyway. So people always like the way I laugh. So that might be a therapy to somebody. Anyway, stop complaining about what you permit. Stop complaining about what you permit. If things have gone wrong and things are not working out for you, repent. Ask for God's help. Let Him forgive you and start again. So excuses are the trademark of failure. Excuses are the trademark of failure. And when man failed in the Garden of Eden, that I cannot stop laughing, because that just reminds me of me. It reminds me of every one of us, because we are still living just that way. When man failed in the Garden of Eden, he had an excuse. And we too, we always have an excuse. But you know the way to deal with that is just to hold yourself by the ears and say, no, I'm not complaining. I'm not going to complain this time. I'm not going to complain. And if you control yourself, you'll be able to defeat this malady that is troubling almost everybody in the world. So instead of complaining, learn to just say, okay, I will repent. I repent and I go and take responsibility. I will repent and go and fix it. I will repent and go and change my behavior, change my attitude, and do things differently from the way I've done it up to now. Each time we actually admit our faults and we repent for them, take responsibility for them, everything could be fixed. If you only be humble enough to repent of your sin, of your failures, of your shortcoming, and then take responsibility for them and say, okay, I was wrong, and begin to do something about them, and to really begin to work to fix them, and to ask for help, and do anything you need to do. You see that everything could be corrected, everything could be reversed, everything could be fixed. So never put a full stop on yourself. Never put a cross on yourself. Never condemn yourself to failure. Never say nothing could be done again. Never say it is finished. No, always believe God, that God is a God of second chance. So no matter what is wrong and no matter what it is, believe God that He will help you to fix everything. Once you repent, once you go ahead and investigate or do research on the reason that led to that, and you begin to fix it and work on amending your steps, things, God will lead you to a better way, and will fix the challenges for you. So to really be successful in life, you must just give up on that excuse, giving of excuse. You must get rid of that habit, because it is a habit, and that habit might be dangerous and be deadly as well. So just make sure that you promise yourself that you are going to get rid of the habit. But also, that is just one part. I said never complain, but that's just the first part of this message. There's the second part of the message that says about what you allow. About what you allow. There are some things that we allow consciously, and there are some other things that we allow subconsciously. That we are not conscious that we allow them, okay? But there are some things that we are consciously allowing. And then we go ahead and begin to complain about them tomorrow. But we actually consciously allow them. So let's deal with how we allow things to control our lives, how we allow things to come into our lives, and then later on we begin to complain about them. So let's think about it. If you are a family person, can you think about your family relationship? Maybe some of the things you are complaining about in your family now, maybe you had allowed them one time or the other. As a wife, if you say, I don't like the way my husband is treating me, maybe you allow that. Do you remember when you were dating? Were there any red sign for you? Were there any sign of any danger signs that were coming? What you are experiencing today. So most of us, what we are experiencing in our families today are what God has tried to show us. God has tried to correct them. God has tried to even deliver us from them. But maybe at the point of dating, when you are still dating, or when you are still going out with your spouse or with your husband to be or wife to be, you saw some of those deficiencies, you saw some of those challenges, and you just decided to close your eyes. So when you close your eyes and when you decide to just, tolerate those things and say, oh, it will go one way or the other, or it will fix itself, or I will fix it, now you have to admit that you allowed it, you permitted it. So if, look at your relationships in the family and see what are the things that you've actually permitted that are now torturing you, that are now haunting you, that are now, hurting you. What are those things that are causing pain and discomfort to you and to your family life, but that you had initially allowed? Maybe at the early stage of your family. Maybe you are still allowing some things right now that you don't like. I remember the other day, one of the ladies in our church came to me and said that, you have to talk to my husband. I said, what's the problem? He wants me to do some things in intimacy, in sexual life that, I'm not comfortable. Every time I do that, I get into depression. I don't like it. I think I'm being treated as a prostitute. I'm being used. I said, but have you talked to him about it? No, I'm afraid he's not going to understand it. I tried to raise the topic. He will not agree, or he likes it and that. So, but you have to make your position strong enough not to allow what is bringing you depression. You have to make your position strong enough to let your husband know that, no, I'm not comfortable with this and I'm not going to allow it to happen. You say, oh, but the Bible said your body doesn't belong to your body. But apart from body, you still have soul. Apart from soul, you still have spirit. You are a human being at the end of the day. Will you speak out? There are some things that you are not supposed to permit. There are some things that you are not supposed to allow. You don't just say because you are a wife, and then you must allow everything because your husband is the head of the family. Hey, that way you will never be happy. You will never be a happy wife. You will never be a happy lady. So you just have to, face it and stand up to your right. Sooner or later, you must stand up to your right. Either you like it or not. One day you just have to say, I am sorry. I am not going to let this happen. I am not going to do this. No, I'm not comfortable with this. So, what are the things you are allowing in your family? I remember even with your kids, what are the things that are now causing you trouble, that are causing you pain, but it is all due to the fact that you allowed it. Let's think about our relationship with our kids, for example. I remember when our baby, our son, Perez, he was there the other day, 2 days ago with me, and Perez was maybe 1 year old, and when he learned a very big lesson from me. Because what happened was that I think he was eating too much sweets and candy, and the mother just went to him and took the candy from him. and took the candy from him, and that you will not eat it. But he had, he was already targeting that candy. He was already, the candy was almost in his mouth, and I'm sure he was already tasting the juice of that candy. And then the mother took it from him. And so parents were so mad that the next thing he did, he raised up his hand like this and spanked the mother, and just spanked the mother like this. The mother's hand. Ooh, ooh, ooh. He will never forget that day in his life. Ooh, he will never forget it. Ooh, because I happen to be around, you see. I happen to be around. Ooh, bad case scenario. Very bad case scenario. Ooh, very bad. Normally, I don't beat our kids the first time they do anything. I give them warning the first time. I give them warning the second time. I give them warning the third time. And only after the third time, I tell them to now tell me what they deserve. So it's only when they tell me what they deserve, that is when I give them what they deserve according to their own words. Because I've told them what they deserve from the first time, second time, third time, but it was giving them grace. But this time, because even though you are 1 year old, even though he was so young, just 1 year old, but for lifting his hand against his mother, I needed to send a very strong message to him that this will not be permitted and this will never be allowed to happen again. So I took I think my slippers or something, and I told him, bring that same hand that you used to beat your mother, bring that hand right now. So he stretched out the hand, and he was so scared. He was looking at me. He was so scared. I said, scared? No scared. You are going to cry today. So I took my slippers and I 1, 2, 3 hard. And he was from that day. Of course, he doesn't remember the story. I tried to ask him one of the time when he was already grown up. He couldn't remember the story. But from that day, that lesson went to his subconscious mind, and he would never violate or abuse or be abusive or be unsubmissive or be unruly to the mother. No, not ever, since then. So what I'm saying is that if your children if you are having trouble with your children, if you maybe it's something you had permitted when they were young, maybe it's something that you had that you had allowed without even realizing it, maybe something that you gave room to. So most of the things that we are really complaining about are things that we have allowed one way or the other. Things that we allow are the things that are troubling us and that are, giving us much pain. The biggest pain that we have sometimes are some of the things that we had permitted one time or the other. So look into your family. What are those things that are paining you? What are those things that you're complaining about? I even know people, for example, I know people in Europe or in America who are saying, oh, the government is so bad. I said, what government? Oh, this American government, why? Because they will not give me my green card. I said, okay, why are they not giving you a green card? Oh, why I've been here for 10 years or 20 years, it's not working for me. I said, so what is the problem? So we are not taking responsibility on ourselves. Then I discovered that this guy came to the country using, is it a Zimbabwean passport or is it Liberian passport or something? So this is a Nigerian guy that went to Egypt or somewhere, Libya or somewhere, went to Libya by boat and used boat to cross to Spain or somewhere. He crossed to Spain, you walking in the wilderness. Then in Spain, he bought somebody else's passport, fake passport, then he managed to go from there to Latin America, maybe Mexico or somewhere, and then from Mexico he got some passport and just managed to get his way to Nigeria, to US, and now you are complaining you are not being given green card. Oh, well, all my mates who have come, they got their own. I have been praying for this for 10 years, 15 years. But let's start by redressing the things that we did wrong. Let's start by taking responsibility. Let's start by saying, yeah, there were some things that I did wrong, and I'm sorry for that. And God, or lawyers or professionals, how can you help me? Please help me to redress and to fix these things. And so we have to start from that point where you permitted that thing. Okay, so will you look into your life and whatever it is that you are going through right now? Maybe you permitted it. What about at work? There are some things that we permit in our job place as well. There are some people that go to job to apply for job and they compromise and they allow the boss or the owner of the owner or the owner of the business to give them oppressive condition. Maybe the owner of the business says, okay, you are an engineer, will you agree to work for a penny, or like a cleaner's salary? And you said, yes, I am ready to do it. And because you permitted it, they started taking advantage of you from there. Okay, you have permitted it. But why don't you now get to your feet one day and say, okay, from today, I am not going to do this anymore. So go and talk to them and say, I'm really an engineer, I'm not a cleaner. So I will not agree to this salary anymore. I'm sorry. Even if you are going to risk losing that salary, if you are not happy, at least let the truth come out. Let them know that you are not happy with what you are doing. Anything that you are not happy with, anything that you are engaged in and you are not happy with, you have to address it. So instead of complaining and going to God, most of the things that we go to God to pray for, they are just, we don't need to bother God about them really. Many people go to church these days and just pray. And why? Sometimes you don't need to complain about that. You don't need to be bothering God about that. Don't bother God about some of your things that you could amend if you just fix the facts. So if some of the things that we have permitted in our lives, we are also the ones to fix them. Leave God out of it in some cases. Of course, sometimes you need God to help you, to forgive you, but still, you need to act as well. Don't just wait for God to act for you. I was talking to another guy who called me, and said, my colleagues are looking down at me because I'm a Christian. Well, don't allow them to look down at you because you're a Christian. Even though God said we should be humble, we are Christians, we are humble, but that doesn't mean that we become like, we become people that are being despised. We are children of God for Christ's sake. God is in you. If you allow people to despise you, you are actually allowing them to despise the God that is in you. You are allowing them to rubbish the creator of the universe that is in you. So you have to what are the things you are permitting? Just look at it. At your job, are you permitting some things from your boss, from your company, from your colleagues? Are you giving room for lack of excellence? Maybe you are compromising excellence. What are the things that you have compromised? And maybe that's why you are having the pain that you are having right now. Some people tell me, I've been in the UK for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. I've not been able to send money home. I've not been able to build a house. I've not been able to do anything with my life. Because you are using all the money to give to this and that, to go to party, to go and congratulate this. So you never save and you never invest. So are you not the one who has permitted that? And say, no, it's somebody that is after me. It is Satan that is after me. It is wishes and wizards that are after me. But you have permitted waste. You have permitted lack of you have not been frugal. You have not been, you have not been frugal in what you are doing. You have not been saving. You have not been investing. And that's why you don't have money. And you say, I've been working in this country all this while. Some people don't even need to work for 10 years, 20 years, and they're already millionaires because they are frugal, because they follow the law, they follow the rules. They didn't permit everybody inviting them to every party, making them to buy every dress, to go and spray some money, and to go and congratulate everybody there and here and there. It is what most of the things we are crying about are the things that we have permitted. Most of the things that we are crying about are the things that we have permitted. Will you make a list in your life right now of those things that are paining you, that you don't like, that you are not satisfied with? And then make a list and say, okay, what have I permitted that have given room to this thing? What are the things that have, that led to this thing? Okay, maybe you have permitted the wrong people in your life. We have to admit it that I'm sorry, I have permitted the wrong relationship, the wrong friendship, the wrong, people in my life. And then you have to also write what I'm supposed to do about it, what I want to do about it. Maybe I want to get out of that relationship. Maybe I want to get out of that friendship. I don't want to be friendly with those people again. And in some cases, there are some it's not just friends that were permitted in the wrong friends, but the greatest pain come to us in life through trusting the wrong people. Maybe you have also trusted the wrong people. Look, examine all the pains in your life. Examine all the things that have pained you the most. You will discover that it is about you trusting the wrong people. Who are the wrong people you have trusted in your life? Have you trusted some wrong people in your life? Make a list of the pains you have had. Make the list of the people that you have trusted who are the wrong people, or the people that you have refused to trust who are the wrong people. And then maybe you need to redress that. You need to address that and correct some of those things. So most of the things that we are complaining about, really, most of the things that are really, bringing pain and suffering to our lives, often they are things that we, unfortunately, have permitted one way or the other. So I want to encourage you to take this word seriously, and I want us to, to share this message and to spread the word and help people. Because complaining is one thing, but being able to fix it is another thing. And for us to be able to fix anything, we must look into the root of it, where it started from, and be able to analyze and be able to come to the right conclusion. What about people that you have permitted? What about things that you have permitted in your relationship with people? Do you allow people, for example, to waste your time? Do you allow yourself to pick every phone call that comes to you? Do you allow yourself to say, "Oh, I must be polite with these people. I must, even though I have my goal, I have my target, I have my purpose that I'm pursuing, I have my priorities before me, but you are secondary your priority. You are jettisoning your priority just for you to be able to please people." Most of the time we do that. We want to reply to every mail. We want to reply to every message. We want to talk to. Maybe these people are not necessarily, people who contribute to our lives. Maybe they are just time wasters. And time wasters are life cheaters. They cheat you out of your life. They waste your life. And you sacrifice your priorities because you want to make people comfortable. Maybe you are permitting people like that in your life. You're permitting people to waste your time. You are permitting people to dishonor your priorities. Then you are the one to fix it. Other people will not fix it. You are saying, sometimes we even complain and say, "Can't this person see? Can't he see that he's wasting my time? Can't he see that I'm busy? Can't he see that he's doing it?" He can't see. That is the fact. He can't see. He can't see. I'm sorry. Most people can't see. But you are the one whose time is being wasted. You are the one whose, whose time and whose space is being abused. So if you are the one they are abusing the time and the space, why don't you just talk out? You are saying, "Well, I'm not comfortable with that. It's not convenient. Maybe this and that." Well, the person is convenient, is comfortable violating you. The person is bold enough to violate you. The person is bold enough to do what is wrong. Why can't you be bold enough to stop it? So in your relationship with people, some of the pains that we're going through in life, and some of the things that we're suffering from, are some of the things we have permitted in our relationship with people. You're also talking about relationship with people. Some of us, we permit dishonor and disrespect. Can you look into your life and think about people that disrespect you, dishonor you, people that that you don't like their attitude towards you, even though maybe they might be senior to you, or they might be your brothers or sisters or relatives, but you don't like the way they dishonor you or disrespect you. Well, let them know that. Let them know what you are thinking. You don't have to suffer in silence. Maybe they are your friends, maybe they are your colleagues, maybe they are your children. Well, speak out, because it is everything that we are suffering from are things that we have permitted. Because you have permitted it, they grow and go from worse to worse, and become much more than you could handle. and then later on you'll not be able to do anything about it. So what I'm saying is this, that don't ever complain about what you permit, or stop complaining about what you permit. You have to be bold sometimes, and you have to learn to say no into some things. If you don't learn to say no to some things, you will just be suffering in silence, and your life will be diverted, and your destiny will be truncated. Your future will be truncated. Your purpose will be truncated. Your destiny will be aborted, just because you will not be bold enough to tell people the truth, and to tell people that you will not permit those things you've been permitting in your life. It is your life, my brother. It is your life. And if you cannot stop it, nobody will stop it for you. It is your life. If you cannot, stand up to defend your priorities, to defend your life, you are just going to waste your life. I'm sorry. You are just going to waste your life. Sorry about that, but you cannot complain about what you permit. You cannot complain about what you permit. Complaining will not help you anyway. So the same thing with our countries, you say. The reason why, one of the main reasons why I wrote this book is because, and I'm going to give out a little bit now from this book, because the basic message of this book is that every Nigerian, every citizen of a country must take responsibility. If I go to Nigeria, I'm going to, start a war against everything that I don't agree with. I am going to start a campaign. I am going to start, a war against corruption, bad governance, anything that is wrong. Electricity, police, brutality, anything that is wrong in the society, I must say I'm not going to permit this. The reason why we have the country we have is because we permit what is going on there. If the citizens of a country will not permit the corruption or the misrule of their leaders, it will not happen. If we don't want to have something in our country, we must rise up against them. We only have, whatever we have today are the things that we have permitted yesterday. Maybe we have permitted the injustice that is in the society. How are we permitting it? Because of our silence. We have not done enough. We've only complained, but we have not acted. We have not taken responsibility to stop the act of indiscipline in the society. We have not taken responsibility. We have not done enough to stop the injustice. We have not done enough to stop the oppression. We have not done enough to stop the corruption. If we don't want the things that we see in our countries to be there, we need to take responsibility and say, no, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to allow this in this country. If I live in this country, this is not going to happen. We have to, organize ourselves. We have to, bring people of like-minded, together, and we have to stand together in one voice and say, no, we are not going to allow this, and that in our country. So the country we have, and we should stop complaining about the country we have, because that is what we have permitted. And what I've discovered about the country that I come from is that we are experts in complaining. And today I wrote this book. This book, it will give deliverance to Nigeria and Nigerians. This book is coming out. It has come out today. So already you can go and buy the book already today on Amazon. You can go and order the book on Amazon today. It's already out. So, you can't believe it. It's going to change your life. Every citizen of Nigeria must take responsibility for fixing our country. But Nigerians right now, we are experts in complaining. When we complain, we are not fixing anything. We are not making everything better. But really, we are all to blame for permitting the kind of country we have. Not just the government. When we put blame on the government, we disqualify ourselves. It's wrong. The leadership must start from each and every one of us. And because if we don't do it, then we are to blame too. We're all to blame for the society we have. So if you want your country to be better, let's fix it. Let's fix it. And in our personal life as well. There are some things that we are complaining about, we are suffering from today, that we have actually permitted. Maybe you permitted the wrong habits in your life. Maybe you permitted the wrong traditions and the wrong patterns in your life. Maybe you permitted the wrong weaknesses in your life. Maybe you permitted sin in your life. Maybe you permitted some abuse in your life. So most of the things that we are all complaining about today, they are actually things that we have permitted. So let's revisit. Let's revisit our lives. Let's do an inventory of the things that we don't like in our lives, of the things that bring pain to our lives. Let's write them together. Where did that come from? What did I permit that allow for this? What can I do to redress it? And what are the responsibility and the action points that I need to begin to take from now on?